8th grade, writing linear equations in slope-intercept form. So the first thing we're going to have to do is identify the y value, or the initial value, the y-intercept, as 0b. That's where it crosses the y-axis. And we're going to be able to do it from a table, graph, equation, or verbal description. We're going to be able to use the slope and the y-intercept to write a linear function in the form y equals mx plus b. From any representation, table, graph, or verbal description, we're going to be able to graph a linear equation given an equation. So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where the only things that we are changing is the m and the b. And make sure you notice that I took the sign with it. So if it's a plus b, it'll be like this. If it's a negative b, it'll be minus b. So m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis. Write the equation of a line given the slope and the y-intercept. So we know that the slope is -2. And then we know that the y-intercept is +5. So y equals -2x plus 5. The slope is 3/4, and the y-intercept is -3. So there's your m. So 3/4 and -3. So y equals 3/4 x minus 3. Write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form given a graph. So the first thing I'm going to recognize is where it crosses the y-axis. So at 0, -5. So my y-intercept is -5. My slope from this point here, from 0, -5, over to 3, -1, is I've got to go right 3 and up 4. So again, it was right 3 up 4. So my slope is delta y over delta x, which is 4/3. And we're going to leave it as a fraction like that. So my equation for this line is y equals 4/3 x minus 5. The next one. First thing I want to do is identify where it crosses the y-axis. So it's at 0, 1. So that means that my y-intercept is 1, a +1. My slope to go from 0, 1 to 4, -1, I have to go down and to the right. So I go down 2, to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, to the right 4. So delta y over delta x is -2/4. So it's -1/2. So then my equation is y equals -1/2 x plus 1. Write the linear equation from a graph shown. So first thing I need to do is figure out where it crosses the y-axis, and it does at 0, 2. So that is my y-intercept, 2. My slope to go from the bottom point up to 0, 2, I've got to go up 4, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 3, 1, 2, 3. So that means my delta y over my delta x is up 4 to the right 3. So it's +4 thirds. And you can tell as you come from, as you come from left to right, it goes uphill. So then I put it into the equation, y equals 4/3 x plus 2. The other graph. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because I can hear my children fighting outside. So the next one is the y-intercept is right here. Crosses the y-axis at 0, -3. So -3 is our y-intercept. Now, my triangle, to go from any nice point to this down here, I got to count. And I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Uh-oh. Right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. Right 4. So that means my delta y over my delta x is -6/4. And that reduces down to -3/2. And I know that it goes down because as I go from from left to right, it goes downhill. So it's a negative. So then I put it all together, and my slope is, my equation is y equals -3/2 x minus 3. Okay, write an equation of a line given a table. So given a table, we need to look and see what the intervals do. So to go from one y value to the next, this is where I get my delta y from. That's the change in y, how it changes from one point to the next. So as I go from one point to the next, it all goes up by 2. Now for my delta x, it's going from -2 to -1, that's going up by 1. -1 to 0 is up by 1. 0 to 1 is up by 1. And 1 to 2 is up by 1. Now sometimes I know that the negatives are kind of harder to tell. So if you're not sure, come down a little bit more and check out these lower values and then go back and double check the upper ones. So my delta y over my delta x is 2/1, which is then 2. So my delta y is from 4 to 3.5. I'm going down by a half. Then I'm going down by another half. Then another half. And then another half. Where on the delta x side, I'm going up by 1, up by 1, up by 1. So what I really have in this case is -0.5/1, which is -1/2/1, which is just -1/2. The next example. So my delta y, to go from -16 to -7 is going up by 9. Then to go from -7 to -1, it goes up by 6. And then -1 to a is up by 9. So 8 to 14 is up by 6. Now, if you look at it, it does not look like it goes up at a constant rate. And that's what a linear function is. It changes at a constant rate. So before I freak out and think, oh my goodness, it's not a linear equation, I'm going to come over here and look at my x's. So as I go from -5 to -2, that's up by 3. From -2 to 0, that's up by 2. Then up by 3. Then up by 2. So I'm going to take each of those. So I'm going to do my delta y over my delta x. And I'm going to have 9/3, which is 3. Then the next one is 6/2, which is 3. The next one's 9/3, which we know is 3, and then 6/2, which is 3. So it is a constant rate. We just have skips in the data. So our slope is 3/1, which is just 3. Now we're going to find the y-intercept from a table and write an equation. So to find the y-intercept, we have to find where x is 0. So right here, I have 0, 1, so my y-intercept is 1. Then the next one, I have 0, 3, so my y-intercept is 3. Then 0, negative 1, so my y-intercept is negative 1. What should you do if 0 is not in the table? Well, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can find the slope and work backwards, or you can choose an ordered pair and plug in. Now, the best ordered pair to use is easiest. Don't get complicated. Like, I wouldn't be choosing 4 and 23. That's going to make things really messy. I'd keep it easy to 1 and 11. Now, in this case, we could find the y-intercept by noticing that the slope is going up by 3. Nope, sorry, up by 4. 15 and 19 is 4, 19 to 23, and 22 to 27, all up to 4. And then my x's go up to 1. So if I go backwards to 0, then I would go backwards 4. So 11 minus 4 is 7. So in this case, my y-intercept would be 7. So either way, if it's not that easy, like let's say you started with numbers like 11, 12, 13, and you don't want to go back that far, that could cause a lot of problems. We still have our slope, which is 4 over 1, or 4. Then we can take any ordered pair, and like I said, let's keep it simple and use 11 and 1. So I'm going to put my ordered pair, so I have y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to put in what I know. I know that y is 11, the m is 4, the x is 1, and I'm looking for the b. So then I solve this. So I have 11 equals 4 times 1 is 4 plus b. Solve for b. So I'm going to subtract 4 from each side. 7 equals b. So b is 7. So then my equation, now my equation is going to be y equals 4x plus 7. Okay, put it all together. So I got to write a linear equation from the table shown. So I'm going to find the slope first. So I have my delta y and my delta x. So from negative 6 to negative 4 is going up by 2. Negative 4 to negative 2 is going up by 2. Negative 2 to 0 is going up by 2. And 0 to 2 is going up by 2. Sometimes telling from the negatives is kind of hard. So what you want to do is look at the positives and go back and double check the negatives. So going from negative 1 to 0 is going up by 1. 0 to 1 is going up by 1. 1 to 2 is going up by 1. 1 to 3, or 2 to 3 is going up by 1. So my slope is my delta y over my delta x, which is 2 over 1, or just 2. So I'm going to put the 2 in there. Now, for my y-intercept, I need to look for when x is 0. That's right here. So that means that when x is 0, whatever my y number is, that's my b. So it's negative 4, and I'll put that in that spot. So now it can be rewritten from y equals 2x plus negative 4 to y equals 2x minus 4. The next example, We're going to write the equation y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to take a look at my slope. So this is going up by 8, up by 12, up by 8, up by 12 for my delta y. My delta x is going up by 2, then up by 3, then up by 2, then up by 3. So my slope is 8 over 2, which is 4. And let's double check the 12 over 3. That also equals 4. So that's my slope, my m. Now, I don't have a 0 in here, so I've got to use the easiest ordered pair, which is going to be 2, 5, and plug it in my equation and solve for b. So I have 5 as my y equals, then I'm going to use my 2 as my x. I'm going to put it in parentheses so I remember to multiply. My m is 4. And I need to solve for my b. So I have 5 equals 4 times 2 plus b. So that's 5 equals 4 times 2 is 8 plus b. Solve for b. So I'm going to subtract 8 from each side to get negative 3 equals b. So now my equation is y equals 4x minus 3. Okay, the next table, I'm going to write down y equals mx plus b. First thing I notice is that I have a b. So my b is 4. So I can rewrite as y equals something x plus 4. It always makes it so much easier when I have the y-intercept. So then, from there, I need to figure out my slope. So this is negative 6. It's going down by 6. That is going down by 9. Then this is down by 9 again. This is down by 6. So then I have, this is up by 2, up by 3, up by 3, and up by 2. So I have negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3, and I have negative 9 over 3, which is also negative 3. So my slope is negative 3. So graph of the equation in slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where this is where you start at 0b, and the m is your movement. Your change in your y over your change in your x. Okay, so the first one. So when I'm dealing with y equals mx plus b, I'm going to start with my b. So this is at 0, 1. And then from there, my slope is 2, so it's going to be 2 over 1, which means I go up 2 to the right 1, or 2 over 1 can be down 2 to the left 1. So I start at 0, 1, and then I go down, let's go down to left 1, down to left 1, down to left 1. Then I can go back and go up to right 1, up to right 1. It just makes it a little bit easier to draw my line. So now I use a straight edge. I connect my points. And I write my equation on the line of y equals 2x plus 1. Now the next one. I start at negative 2, so that's 0, negative 2. And my slope is negative 2 over 3. So that means I've got to go down 2 to the right 3. That's also the same thing as 2 over negative 3, which is up to the left 3. So let's start from 0, negative 2. And then from there, I've got down to the right 3. Down to the right 3. So then I can go up to the left 3. Up to the left 3. And there's my line. So now I'm going to connect it. It's really hard to draw a line on a touch screen. Should use a straight edge. Got to put arrows on the end of it. And the equation y equals negative 2/3 x minus 2. Okay, this one we need to put in Y-intercept form. So first thing I'm going to do is add 8 to both sides, because Y-intercept form means to get the y alone. So 4y equals 2x plus 8. Divide everything by 4 to get y alone. So I have y equals 1/2 x plus 2. So that means we're going to start at 0, 2. And my 1/2 means I'm going to go up 1 to the right 2, or 1/2 means down 1 to the left 2. So starting at 0, 2, I'm going to go up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. Then I'm also going to go down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2. As long as it completes the line, you know you're doing it right. It just makes it a lot easier to connect points if there's several of them. And then write the equation on the line. So 4y minus 8 equals 2x.